School bus drivers in Jefferson Davis County, that's great, Mississippi struck for an hour, 1 hour, over the district paying double for extra drivers without hiking regular driver pay, and won the pay hike.
That's a hell of an hour.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Last week in Southern Labor, we talk about what happened the last week in Southern Labor. We pulled this information from Jonah Furman's newsletter, Who Gets the Bird? You can read the rest of what happened in the rest of U.S. labor at whogetsthebird.substack.com. And so let's just jump right into it. In new organizing, Starbucks workers continue to rack up elections in the South. Last week in Atlanta, 25 food service workers at 3 locations of Union Kitchen in Washington, D.C. are unionizing in 3 different NLRB votes with UFCW Local 400. The 20 fast food workers at Tudor's Biscuit in Elkview, West Virginia, who marched on the boss and got the cops called on them, ultimately lost their union vote 5-7, not joining UFCW Local 400, which is a shame. And I don't think that we've heard the last of Tudor's Biscuits stuff, because there was some shady things happening on the side of the boss there. So we'll be looking for updates on that. 5 lab techs at Steel of West Virginia in Huntington, West Virginia, deadlocked 2-2, thus not joining Steelworkers Local 37. The staff of the DCCC, which is the Democratic Party's congressional elections campaign arm, are unionizing with Teamsters Local 238. You'll recall the DNC staffers just joined SEIU, so now Change to Win is fully integrated with the Democratic Party staff. Love to see that. And unrelatedly, but obviously relatedly, the Bessemer, Alabama revote is fast approaching. As Bloomberg reports, nearly half of the 6,100 eligible voters are new to the warehouse since the vote a year ago due to Amazon's high turnover rate. The ballots went out yesterday on that, and we talked a little bit more about that earlier in the show, and we'll be giving you updates as the campaign continues. In strikes and bargaining, 4 months into the USW Local 40 strike at Special Metals, local politicians have decided to suggest that the strike should end, with Senator Shelley Moore Capito and the Huntington, West Virginia Council speaking out. So, look, Richard Shelby, Tommy Tuberville, what are you doing? You got a Republican colleague coming out in support of striking workers, and these folks are going on a year now in Brookwood, Alabama, going on a year on strike, and nothing from conservatives and conservative politicians. It's insane. Elsewhere in West Virginia, Teamsters Local 175 is apparently considering striking Coca-Cola over the company's failure to pay its workers. More fallout from the Kronos ransomware attack that's affecting payroll across the country since December. Educators in Birmingham, Alabama last week and Chesterfield, Virginia organized sick-outs. School bus drivers in Jefferson Davis County, that's great, Mississippi struck for an hour, 1 hour, over the district paying double for extra drivers without hiking regular driver pay, and won the pay hike.
That's a hell of an hour.
That's like cool as hell. A federal judge granted rail operators, BNSF, an injunction against 17,000 union rail workers who had moved towards striking over a new and absolutely insane attendance policy, which Joe Jemanuel Hall at Labor Notes summed up well. The unions are now taking pains to tell their members not to take action, which is never a good sign for fans of labor peace. It is worth remembering that this BNSF injunction is technically totally separate from the much larger 100,000 worker rail bargaining coalition that has just filed for an impasse/mediation and could soon start a countdown on an absolutely massive national rail strike. But it's very hard to tell whether or not that's even plausible. Because some of the key factors being the global pandemic and supply chain meltdown, disintegrating political orders, all that kind of stuff.
And for anyone who's curious to hear a little bit more, I haven't read that piece from Labor Notes that Jonah mentioned, but our friend Maximilian Alvarez with Real News Network just put out an episode this week where he interviewed a longtime railroad worker who has retired, who gave some, firsthand testimony about these attendance policies. So really recommend that. It was great stuff.
Yes. Great stuff. Speaking of massive critical industries facing a strike deadline, the USW's National Oil Bargaining Program, covering 30,000 workers, mostly along the Gulf Coast, is facing a contract expiration of February 1, which was Tuesday. And the latest reports are that that things are intensifying, and the latest offer was insulting, per the union. All this against the backdrop of a refinery industry that has made its union busting aims quite explicit over the past year, with lockouts in Minnesota and Louisiana, the latter of which is very much still going strong. And if I had to guess, is probably being held up as an implicit threat against the union during these negotiations. The union appears to have had better luck at the Newport News, Virginia shipyard, with Steelworkers Local 8888 having reached a tentative deal after rejecting the last one in December and amping up their strike talk. So that's very cool. Speaking of massive contract negotiations not going well, though, 14,000 AT&T workers with CWA in 36 states are negotiating a new contract as their one-year extension expires on February the 12th. As the bargaining committee put it, we are bargaining in an environment of incredible challenges, including inflation, worker unrest, and the ongoing COVID pandemic. The company offered a benefits proposal right off the bat that was offensive, concessionary, and shows their contempt for their employees. We need all CWA members to be prepared for a fight. We are going to fight, and we need an army of union members fighting alongside us. So, those are fighting words. And with just days to go, the National Women's Soccer League Players Association members say they will not report for the first games of the preseason if a contract hasn't been negotiated by then. And they've been bargaining for 2 years. And I believe that they got their contract.
I think so. Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah. And in politics, the ghoulish bill to gut public sector unions in Florida advanced through a committee in the legislature this week. Like in a couple other states, it would decertify any public sector union that falls below 50% paying membership, while making it much harder for members to pay their dues, thus making that 50% trigger much more likely to be reached. It exempts, of course, police, corrections, and firefighter unions, because those are special boys. A circuit court ruled to undo a Trump-era policy limiting federal unions' ability to bargain, which is just another step away from the very anti-labor federal policy the Trump administration had implemented. And finally, the FLRA has upheld a decision to decertify the IFPTE's Union for Immigration Judges. Insane. Absolutely insane.
Work sucks, we know. But you can make it better by organizing with your fellow workers. For more information, call or text the Huntsville Industrial Workers of the World at 256-651-6707.